Hello, and welcome to this week's episode of the Ken and Mark Show.
Or how I learned to stop worrying and just call it football.
That's right, the show where the opinions are made up and the shape of the balls does not
matter.
That's right. How you doing, Ken?
Oh, I've been better, been worse. Just trying to live, baby. Just trying to live. How are you doing, Mark?
Pretty much the same. Just, hanging in there.
That's all we can do at this moment in time. It's like
that
all the bad stuff is happening.
Yeah, that does seem to be the moment in time we're in, right? We're just kind of making it work.
And I mean, I hope some good can come out of this, because it's one thing, it's cliche, actions speak louder than words. I'm hearing corporations and people saying the right thing.
Yes.
But will they act? That's one thing to say stuff, but are we going to pass laws? Are we going to, are we going to change?
Yeah, well, I mean,
that's
my guess would be no, but I would love to be proven wrong.
Yes, 100%. Like, prove us wrong. Prove us cynical sons of bitches wrong.
I mean,
pass some laws. Let's get some real reform in here.
My guess is the closer we get to November, the harder it's going to be to get anything done, and it's really hard right now. So I'm not super optimistic. So, but
especially, wait, how much stuff can we get done when our president's holed up in his bunker?
Hiding from the people.
I know. What a little bitch. I can't get over that.
He finally built his wall around his own house.
He's protecting the American people from him.
if only he'd just stay in there.
I know. Just stay in there. Stay in there till you get beat in November.
Oh man! All right, it is time for the Whirlwind Week in Review.
Boom! Here we are.
So that finally shows up now. It doesn't get covered with a sound effect. That's all you.
Oh, I know, folks. You've been wondering how I did it. I mean, that happens every week when we do this show.
It does.
I give Mark the whirlwind. I give him the whirlwind. I give you people the whirlwind.
It does, and then through the magic of editing, it just becomes an actual F5 tornado.
But you have to know where to put it, and I give you it's like
exactly.
It's like a motion capture performance. I'm giving I'm the Andy Serkis of podcast.
Exactly. All right, so we finally have a date for the return of the Premier League, June 21st.
Yes.
So, and I think I have an answer to the question we posed last week. How many games away from clinching is Liverpool? I believe the answer is 2. They could have wrapped up the league at Everton, which is their next game, if they had not lost to Watford. Therefore, they have at least another game after that in order to clinch. So 2 games away from clinching the league. My question is, if they win the next 2 games, do they just shut it down and just let the kids play the rest of the season? Why not rest your stars for the rest of the year if you don't need them?
I mean, at that point, if I'm Liverpool, that's what I would do. Since you're gonna have to start the next season so quick,
right?
I'd ask the players what they think, but I mean, it always comes down to the head coach. He's going to have to make the big decision. But I mean, if you've already, they're not in the Champions League anymore. They're not in the FA Cup.
Right.
So it's not like
the undefeated season is out.
Yeah. So I mean, to me, it's just, it wouldn't make any sense to play them, because you're going to have to start the next season rather soon. So do they
Right.
really need but since you're starting this season soon, do you treat this like a preseason where maybe you start them and give them a half, or bring them in off the bench and let them play 20 minutes every now and then to get there, so they're not losing the game speed?
Right.
It's going to be it. I think I would do something like that. If we get the league wrapped up, if I was Liverpool manager, I'd start them once every like a game. I wouldn't play them every game, but I'd probably throw them out there every once in a while, just so they get their fitness back up to where it needs to be for the new season starting.
Yeah. I don't know if they've announced in the EPL, but in the Bundesliga for the remainder of the season, teams are allowed 5 substitutes instead of 3. I don't know if England's going to do that as well. So
they should. I think that's.
And if you do
huge.
that, I mean, you can pretty much swap half the team out at halftime.
Yeah.
So they only have to play half games, which would make more sense to me.
Yeah, because they need their fitness. But more than anything, they need their fitness back up, and you don't want to lose that game fitness where it's that whole it's a mental thing.
Yeah.
You can practice all you want, you can run all the laps you want, you can practice all you want, but like it's different playing the game at game speed, getting the visual down, the whole mental aspect of being able to get the ball, look up for a second. I mean, that's what amazes me about like athletes in general, being able to look at the whole field for like a split second and decide where you're going to like kick the ball,
right,
or throw the ball. You know what I mean? Like that just blows my mind. The game's 90 minutes long, but it's actually just played in these little split second decisions these guys make, and it just it's amazing to me how they do it.
Yeah, it's something else.
And to me, I think that's what they need the most going into, because I mean that next season, you can't sit them. I think that'll hurt you, because the other teams ain't going to sit there. The teams fighting for relegation or top 4, they're not going to sit their players, so they'll be more mentally fit going into the next season.
But they'll also be more worn out. So where's the balance, right? Like, do I have tired players, or do I have? I don't know. I mean, I don't know what the right answer is.
I think I wouldn't be surprised if Jurgen Klopp, whatever he chooses, will be the right answer. I won't be surprised at whatever, because he's just a great manager.
Yeah. He just is. He seems to almost always make the correct decision. And I mean, I don't know how that's possible, but that's what seems to happen.
Ain't that the truth? That's just he did it at Mainz, did it at Dortmund, and now he's doing it at Liverpool. I mean,
right.
When he leaves Liverpool, I mean, probably in 5-6 years.
I think he's
going to leave that
signed
club.
Through. Is he signed through 24 now? Is that the case?
I think
so. Either like 23 or 24 is his contract.
Whenever he decides to leave, or they fire him, or something, because clubs, even if you win the championship, they'll get rid of you if you have a bad month.
Oh yeah. Ask Barcelona.
Ask anybody, unless you're United and you hang on to whatever you're hanging on to. Liverpool is going to be in a lot better situation. It'll be the opposite of what Jose Mourinho does when he leaves the club.
Yes. They're going to be in a much better shape when he leaves.
Like after next season, when Jose Mourinho leaves, it's going to be. I feel bad for Tottenham. I would be surprised if he sells Harry Kane and Dele Alli and just leaves.
It may have to. So one more soccer question. What is Manchester United doing about his manager? Or is Ole staying, or is Pochettino coming in? Because
to me,
it seems like with all this extra time, somebody should have made up their mind about what they're going to do.
To me, it'd be, if we don't sign Pochettino, because what he was able to do at Tottenham was, I mean, just special. I've seen a lot of managers going to Tottenham and not be able to do, like, he's made them a consistent top 4 side. The best I've seen with Tottenham throughout the years that I've been watching it, these last almost 20 years, is they'd have a good season, but then drop down to 8th, drop down to 6th. They were never able to, because once they got into Europe, it like ruined them because their team was built for the league, because it was always thin on talent. So when they had to go to the bench, the guys that they were bringing off the bench they just weren't up to it. Right. So I just think with what Pochettino was able to do, I mean, he took Tottenham. I've never seen a team be able to do no transfers coming in and then take that same team to the Champions League final.
Yeah.
Like, more, I don't know why people don't talk about that more. That's, I mean, with Liverpool winning it, that was special, but no transfers.
Right. Zero.
I've never seen a club be able to do that ever.
Yeah. And which makes it all the more confusing. Why? I mean, by now we should have at least heard a rumor, but we've heard nothing out of United as to what the situation with the manager is.
To me, you get Poch, like, thank you, Ole, but they'd be stupid not to fire Ole and get Pochettino in there.
Yeah.
Like the bad thing is that bringing in Bruno Fernandes is he's making Ole look good.
Well, and that's kind of what we were afraid of, right? Like, United would do just enough to not get the coach fired, and then you've got 2 more years of mediocrity.
Because what if
I feel like that's what they've done?
What if Arsenal or somebody else, like a team like that is probably a good manager away from bringing them back to where they were? I mean, people can say they want a good manager is worth its weight in gold. I mean, look at Sheffield United. Their manager, I don't know his name, but he's taken that team that doesn't have a lot of talent. I don't care what people say. They're not the most talented of teams.
They're not.
But he knows how to get the most. But he knows how to get the most out of what. I mean, a manager that can get the most out of what he has, and I think that's what Pochettino does.
What if
I couldn't imagine
this scenario is not out of the realm of possibility? What if Pep Guardiola decides he's done, and Pochettino goes to City?
Yeah, I mean that'd be the worst thing that would basically be given. Pochettino's never had a team with that money and that talent level.
No, which I mean, I would love to see that.
And he's going to get that. I mean, if I'm Real Madrid or Barcelona, I'm looking at him. If I'm PSG, I'm looking at him. Yeah. I mean, because it's just people because I think people get it messed up when they see what he did with Tottenham. Well, they had Harry Kane, they had Dele Alli, and that's all they had.
Those guys, and those guys weren't those guys 2 years ago. Like, those guys are those guys because of him.
Exactly. I mean,
they didn't just drop out of the sky.
Right. I mean, he took some, like, Trippier was really good at Burnley and is a good fullback, but he made him even better. He improved. Everybody on Tottenham improved, and United would be stupid to pass up on him.
He made Kyle Walker a European class fullback. I mean, like,
he got him paid to go to.
And right, and Lucas, who had been jettisoned by PSG as if his career was over.
Yeah,
he's now like super sub.
He turned it
in EPL.
He was turning in performances that were like the performances that he should have. Like, people thought he was be able to do. I think with Pochettino being such a great manager, it'd be very easy for that guy to get down on himself, not perform at Tottenham, and then end up going back to wherever he came from, and just his confidence all gone. But I think he's able to get the best out of players. He doesn't try to play them where they're not going to succeed, and that's the key to any manager.
Right. Know what you've got and know how to use it.
United, because if you look at Liverpool at Klopp, Guardiola at City. Who's Chelsea manager? They always
isn't it
change
Lampard?
so quick.
Isn't it Lampard still?
Yeah, even Lampard, he might not have the degree, but playing the babies, he went with like Chelsea in a tournament. You think, well, shit, he's taking a team that just full of kids that Chelsea never play with, and he's got them up there in the top 4. I mean, there it's.
You can't tell me
team is going to be very lucky to have him.
You can't tell me that Chelsea hasn't been much better since he took over and decided to play those guys.
Oh,
I mean,
they're gonna benefit from the best thing. I think that transfer ban is like a blessing in disguise for Chelsea. Forcing them to play their babies has been a big success.
They had to figure it out.
Because without that, you know, those guys, half of those guys that are playing right now for Chelsea are going out on loan.
half is probably understating.
Yeah, being nice. I'm being nice saying half. I'm being nice saying half. But yeah, it's. I think Frank is. I mean, if you think about all the managers he's played under, and all that, and since he was going to be, I imagine he was going for his badges while he was playing because he became a manager like right out of as soon as he retired.
Yeah.
He's played on. He has played under some like multiple like different systems with different coaches that have great pedigrees. I mean, he's got a lot of knowledge up there, and he's going to be a dangerous manager. He could, turn into a next Alex Ferguson. That's saying something, but if he can keep him in the top 4, I mean, if Chelsea weren't so knee jerk on getting rid of their managers every couple of years because they have a bad week, I could see him. He could stay there for 15 years. I mean, I don't see why not.
I don't either. I mean, he seems to be pretty good at what he does. Earlier this week, after being called out on social media by its players, Roger Goodell, commissioner of the NFL, issued an apology of sorts to the NFL players and NFL fans. And what do you the curious part about this? Apparently, what happened was one of the dudes that worked in the PR department went behind the commissioner's back and just met with some players and was like, "Hey, let's make a thing." And the players are like, "Yeah, okay."
Michael Thomas. He got a hold of Michael Thomas, the wide receiver for the New Orleans Saints. He got a hold of him. He ran the idea past him, and he's like, "Yeah," and he got a hold of Odell Beckham Jr. He got a hold of Patrick Mahomes. I mean, Tyrann Mathieu. I mean, like he got a hold of all those guys and they made that video. And that have you seen the video?
Yes.
I mean, you want to talk about? I mean, they made that in a good idea in an instant. But that to me, that's one of the most powerful ads I have ever seen.
So the most conspicuous part of this, right, is that not one owner has actually said anything. Now, in theory, the commissioner works for the owners, speaks for the owners. But apparently, Goodell made that statement without consulting any of them. So
really,
how does this play out when the season starts?
Man, that's a good. Well, to me, how does it play out? It's gonna. I think you'll have your kneeling. Letting players should be able to speak their mind and be able to, because they hold in our country and hell with sporting figures throughout the world, they hold a very high place in society. And what they say, it reaches a lot of people. Mm-hmm. And what I didn't like with the NFL and even U.S. Soccer banned anyone from kneeling. And after Goodell gave his speech, U.S. Soccer rescinded the kneeling during the national anthem. So they're letting players do that. And I think the more NFL players speak out against this, it'll bring that message to people that wouldn't normally or necessarily be exposed to that sort of idea.
So what's
Middle America is in a bubble.
So what's going to happen when Cittadini starts complaining about people kneeling during the anthem, which he will, and the owners were so afraid of losing money, whether they will or not, we don't know. But what are they going to do? Are they going to? I don't know how they're going to respond. I just don't, and we haven't heard from any of them yet.
Well,
and I think it's interesting that we haven't even heard from one.
And which is, I mean, you can take that. I mean, that's a glass half full, half empty type of situation. Them not speaking can be taken as, well, that's a good thing. They haven't come out and said anything against it.
Right.
And you can also look at, well, they haven't really echoed the words of Roger Goodell. So
right.
And to me, it'd be very easy. Like, one thing I will say, I mean, the Denver Broncos, the entire team, they led a march in Denver.
Yes.
The entire team led a march. So to me, that says the ownership must have allowed that to happen.
Well, so the interesting part about that too, right, was when this all started, what was it, 4 years ago now? 3-4 years ago now?
Yep.
John Elway was one of the owners that resisted allowing the players to do this. And he's made several large campaign contributions, and he's written several open letters about stuff, and now all of a sudden he's found Jesus, and he's allowing his players to do what they want. I'm curious to see if this there's nothing really for them to lose now because there's no football going on. But the minute football starts and they think that they could lose something, is this all going to change? That's my question.
I see. What I think is happening. Brandon Perna from That's Good Sports on YouTube. He made a very, very good point that I believe, like Roger Goodell and other players, they saw what happened to Drew Brees. Drew Brees stuck his foot in his mouth, and the world turned on him. And everybody loves Drew Brees. Drew Brees is All-American. He's got the special needs. He's got the special needs kid.
Yep.
He's as wholesome as apple fucking pie.
Yep.
And they turned on him like, bro, not like his teammates went, like,
yep.
And then I think when he finally talked and listened, like, this isn't about the flag and this isn't about the troops. Quit saying that. Right. And I think Drew Brees finally understood, like, whoa, I am all right. It never was that. I misspoke. And then when the president jumped on Brees' side, and then Brees, the next day came out with that comment. I mean, the president tweeting at him, like, you shouldn't have switched your stance on this. And then Brees tweeting back at him and basically being like, no, you're wrong. Like, I finally listened to my teammates.
Yes.
And I think ownership has looked at people love Drew Brees a lot more than they love any NFL owner. So I think if an owner were to come out and have a Drew Brees statement, their supporters would turn on them. So I think you'll have owners that believe in the cause that will speak, and if the owners don't, they just won't say anything.
That's probably a good reading of it, I think, actually. Yeah. I think we may end up with just silence from a lot of owners. Like, they won't talk about it in public. They'll complain about it in private, but they may just be too nervous to do anything. Yeah,
I think that's true. Because
it's kind of amazing how far the middle has moved in 4 weeks, right? Like prior to 3 weeks ago, the idea that we'd be talking about this again from the completely other side of the coin was ridiculous.
So, yeah, totally.
Yeah.
And I think it's just I believe with the horrible thing that happened to George Floyd, the fact that they recorded 9 minutes of this,
Mm-hmm.
that it went on so long that
Mm-hmm.
people, you weren't able to look away from that, because it wasn't like it was a snap decision where someone shot him,
Mm-hmm.
to where, it was 9 minutes of someone begging for their life.
Right.
While a police officer, you can't look away from that. It's a horrible situation. And I think that finally woke up a lot of people seeing that. Like, there's a lot of time in there where you can stop killing this man, and you kept doing it.
Yeah.
That's
That's
where
a good way.
I think that
That's a good way to put it. That's a good way to put it. There was a lot of time where you could have stopped killing him, and you chose not to.
and you can't say that. Yeah, you can't say that he was resisting, or because the video shows he wasn't resisting. He was just laying there begging for his life.
Right.
And
Right.
to me, that's just like, that's the part where people are finally waking up to like all these other situations and being like, wow, we have dropped the ball on this. Like, and it's opened up. And the best thing, I'm glad the protesters are still out there, and I'm glad that I'm hearing it talked about everywhere. Shannon Sharp and Skip are talking about it. Like, it's reached into you cannot turn on a show and then not be talking about it, because it should be talked about everywhere. We're talking about a part of our population that are fellow Americans that ever since the slavery has ended have been treated basically like less than human. That can't buy houses in certain places, can't get jobs, can't vote now because you're a felon, 3 strikes and you're out, filling up prisons. I mean, might not be able to have them work for you for no money and be slaves, but you can treat them like animals still.
Right.
Using the law on your side.
Yeah. A little bit more about that in a second. I just want to close out Whirlwind with this. There is a movement among some people with some influence to have Black athletes consider attending HBCUs instead of state schools. So we're talking about Division I grade NCAA football and basketball players. And I think that if you want to see the NCAA start paying players, you let a bunch of these guys sign commitments to HBCUs instead of Clemson and
your
Alabama
Ohio State
and Florida State. They'll be the NCAA will be paying players retroactively. They'll be paying players from 6 years ago to get people to come back to these schools.
Come back to the schools. Come back to the ones that the white people like.
Exactly. I'm not sure this is a bad idea. This might be an interesting way to accomplish 2 things at once.
I would love to see Grambling State number 2 in the rankings.
Oh, exactly. I would love that.
That'd be
awesome.
I want that just so we can get their marching band out in the playoffs. That'd be great, man. I mean, is Howard another university? I used to.
Oh yeah.
Back when I was doing the history of like Walter Payton and Jerry Rice, them going to historically Black colleges, is just I hope that players do that, and it would just be amazing to stack the deck down there and just have all this talent from Florida, from Ohio, just go there and just create a powerhouse.
We get Howard versus Grambling State in the Cotton Bowl.
That'd be awesome, man.
That'd be awesome.
That would be awesome.
And players would be getting paid at the same time, because the NCAA is like, well, we can't have that.
That'd be great.
We need our TV money.
So good. I mean, just oh my God, that recruiting class, just have all the top 100s just filling up those colleges. Because imagine the money it would bring. To those colleges. The money would just flood in. I mean, they would be able to rebuild all their institutions, all their buildings. They'd be able to renovate. Like, it would. That would be a great move.
Instant TV deals. Does Howard have a TV deal? No. But they would.
But they will.
Exactly.
And for those kids to go down there, I mean, playing football is playing football. It's not like you won't get drafted out of there. the schedules would change. Imagine seeing like LSU versus Grambling. That'd be
Exactly. I mean,
bring it on.
If Notre Dame has a TV contract in 2020 based on some shit they did in the 80s, imagine the TV contract
Exactly.
Howard and Grambling get for being great now. Yeah.
Oh, I guarantee you they wouldn't be part of the Big 10, Big 12, they'd be snatching up those colleges like come to our conference.
Of course. We've always welcomed black people.
Oh, always.
Always.
We don't just use them we never just use black people for their athletic ability. And then when they're done and they've graduated, we just get rid of them and pretend that they don't exist.
Or
as soon as
they
get
us
injured,
at the University of Alabama.
We never just drop their scholarship as soon as they get injured or blow out their knee.
That's not a thing we would have done.
Never.
Last year.
Never. We are compassionate here at Roll Tide, Alabama. That'd be, oh God, please let that happen. Let that happen. Put those colleges on the map again. That would just that movie writes itself.
Yeah, it does.
That's a fucking that's an Oscar winner right there. And that's like I just cannot wait. That would just be so special. I don't know what else to say.
All right, I think it's gonna wrap it up for the Whirlwind Week in Review.
Oh,
okay,
that's a great whirlwind.
It's the visual makes it. The chair.
The spinning of the actual whirlwind.
Yes. All right, Kenny. Love it, hate it. I want to do something a little bit different.
Okay.
I wanted to talk for a second about the police.
Okay.
So for the last few weeks, we've gotten we've heard a lot about policing, and we've seen a lot of policing, and I think a lot of people were exposed to a policing culture that they did not think existed.
All right.
I think a lot of people watch Law and Order and cop shows, and they have this idea that the police are heroes and they only go after the bad guys, and everything's neat and tidy, and we go on as a society.
Yep. And they always help the people in need. They always protect the people in need. Doesn't matter what color they are. They always do the right thing.
Right. And I feel like a lot of people have all of a sudden been exposed to the fact that a lot of other people have been living with for a long time, that that's not really the case for a lot of people. And right on cue, the people making the best argument for police reform were the police themselves. Like, you didn't need to look any further as to why there needed to be laws against police assaulting citizens than the police assaulting citizens on your TV screen.
Exactly.
Like they have.
I think what.
Sorry, go ahead.
All I was gonna say is what I think has woken up a lot of people is, and I hate to say this, but I think just looking at the polls over these last 3 weeks or so has been, I think, when they started seeing white people getting accosted by the police. Like that, the one with the old man Buffalo, when they started seeing those images, it's like, this is what's happening to those certain white people right now. This has been happening to black people for 100 years.
And I'll tell you what, if they are doing that to white people on camera, knowing they're on camera, what have they been doing all the other times to black people when they thought nobody was looking?
Exactly.
Right?
Fucking exactly.
Yes. So
That's
so
just that's. And I think that those images have really hit in Middle America. I mean, that have probably no black people in their community. That they have they live in a little Middle America bubble, and it's things have penetrated that bubble finally because the
again,
polls have just the polls have swung like over half of the country is in favor of Black Lives Matter, where 4 years ago it's like 20%.
and you don't have to go back 4 years. You can go back 4 weeks, and it was like
Exactly.
20%. I mean,
And because
as usual, it's unfortunate that it takes
yeah,
it takes something happening to white people for white people to realize that something is wrong.
exactly.
But I guess I'm glad that
But
some of them have finally realized that something is wrong.
that's how people are in general. It takes the Titanic sinking before you make lifeboats a really big issue. It takes you got to have disasters in engineering where you're then, oh wait, we need to have inspectors out there to make sure people aren't cutting corners when this bridge failed or when this building failed because they didn't use the right wing nuts. They're trying to cut corners. It takes those big accidents for people to wake up. Like, well, why? Because the question is, well, why would they do that? Because it seems so simple. Well,
Exactly.
when you started seeing cops treating peaceful protesters of all colors like they're animals, I think that's finally woken up Middle America.
I hope, again, I'm old enough not to be optimistic about this, but I really do hope that we've reached a point where we won't go back to the way things were. Because we've had these moments in the past, right? But we've always seemed to kind of fall back into the comfort zone. And I kind of hope that we're finally at a point where that is no longer going to happen.
I think I'm hoping that that's the case because what you're not seeing anymore, you're not seeing any more of the rioting and the looting.
Well, right. And the curious thing was, most of that. Correct. And most of the violence stopped when the police stopped reacting to protesters. Right? So when the police started just backing off, all of a sudden nobody was breaking into stores anymore.
Oh, things aren't.
Why is that?
Yeah, nothing's getting burned down and stuff. I don't know. When the cops stopped killing protesters, and then I think, but once there was a couple, in the last couple weeks, when all the protests were peaceful, there was no rioting and looting. So the media couldn't spin it as well, there's a building burning. There's no buildings burning, nothing get broken into, and the cops are still beating the shit out of protesters. That's when people started looking like, whoa, if these people haven't broken any laws, they are, practicing their First Amendment right, the thing they like to jerk off over, the fucking Constitution of America. I mean, God, these people act like they've never read the motherfucker. It's like people with the Bible. You never read it. Don't pretend like you have, but you hold it up like it's your security blanket. But once people saw it, well, wait, the cop, these protesters have done nothing wrong except protesting, and the cops are ever loving shit out of them. That's when things started to change.
Yeah.
Oh, did you see what President Trump tweeted about that old man? He's a secret Antifa activist, and he was using his phone to scan the police scanners and block their communications. I was like, so apparently that old white man was James fucking Bond.
Yeah. Can this okay. I do understand why most Republicans will not stand up to him, because I guess you feel like he's the ticket to re-election and you're gonna ride or die with that. But I don't understand why some of them won't. Some of them, what are you possibly going to lose by standing up and saying, this guy is out of his mind? He's obviously out of his mind.
Yeah, there's
Even the people defending him realize he's out of his mind. That's why they don't comment on anything he ever says, because it's crazy,
yeah,
and they don't want to talk about crazy. So what
'cause
what do you have to lose by admitting that he's nuts?
you would think nothing, because the shit that he says is, like you said, it's just batshit crazy.
Right.
But they saw the crowds that he was able to get, those crazy white people that you get them and they're just, I mean, I don't care what anybody says, those rallies he holds are 100% white. There is no black person in those rallies at all, or Latino. It's basically like watching a Nazi rally.
Yes.
I mean, it's sickening. And I think the Republicans see that, and they know that that's their base. They know that's the only people voting for them. They don't have a wide demographic of people voting for them. But this would be this is an opportunity now that the Republican Party should open up its doors, because they're not going to win anything if they keep in this line of whites only. And the grand old party is going to be no more.
How do you get to the point in your life where you, as a politician, look out at those crowds and you understand who those crowds are, and you understand that those are the people that vote for you, and not say to yourself, maybe something is wrong with the things that I'm supporting?
Yeah, I really don't know how they sleep at night. They get their legislation from ALEC that basically it protects corporations, it gets them more money, and they get the lobbyist donations, and then they keep passing all these bills that hurt Americans. They make it a point to limit people's voting rights, even though they champion democracy and all this, and they'll invade a foreign country to make them have democracy. They won't let people vote in their own country, because they know if everyone voted, they wouldn't be in office.
It's a comedy of errors, Ken. You have Republican senators talking about sanctioning China for not allowing Hong Kong protesters the right to protest peacefully, and at the same time, out of the other side of their mouths, demanding the military crack down on U.S. citizens attempting to do the same thing. Like it's a comedy, man. If you and I wrote that script and pitched it to a network, they would say, "This is ridiculous. We're not making this."
This is the stupidest thing I've ever read. This
Exactly.
would never happen in America.
This would never happen. This is unrealistic.
I mean, I can't believe the New York Times ran that op-ed with Tom Cotton, him calling for the military to come in and cracking heads. It's like,
yes.
Wow. And these are the same people that they love that. It's almost like they forget about the First Amendment and they just go right down to number 2. They love number 2. But that first one where, freedom of the press, freedom of religion, freedom to assemble, like they really hate that first one, even though that first one is the most important one.
Yeah.
It's just sick. It's sickening. It's sickening is what it is. I don't know. I don't know how do they rationalize it? How do they I mean, it's pure politics. It's about knowing your base, knowing your demographic for where you're getting voted in from, and playing directly to them. But not even again, these Republicans.
Again, though, it all goes back to white supremacy. I bring this.
Yeah.
I bring this up every time we talk about this. There's a line in the movie Mississippi Burning where Gene Hackman is explaining to William Dafoe why the South is the way it is, and he says that his father said to him, "Son, if you're not better than an N-word, then what are you?" That's what this comes down to.
Yeah,
it's amazing how powerful that is.
That's 100% right on. And that's what the people in power. That's what they want to keep this as. They need to keep us fighting with each other.
Yes.
They need to keep poor white people hating on poor black people, because as soon as poor white people and poor black people realize they have more in common than with the most powerful and rich motherfuckers, that's when the rich motherfuckers are in trouble.
Yes, that's it. That's what this all comes down to, right?
Yeah. They have to keep that narrative.
Exactly. Once poor people figure out that they have more in common with other poor people than rich people, rich people's time is over.
So, yeah, it's. I'm sorry, the wealth will be redistributed. Teachers might be able to earn a fucking salary. Police officers, they need to get defunded, but then pay them a little bit more, and you get what you pay for. When you don't pay shit, you're not going to get the best.
It's amazing. I really hope we have turned some kind of corner, even if it's not a 90-degree corner. If it's a 35-degree corner,
as long as we're even turning the wheel, as long as we can start turning the wheel.
Yes.
I mean, it could be a NASCAR Daytona 500 corner where it just keeps. But as long as we're turning, as long as we're turning the wheel, that's all.
Yeah.
I'd be happy with that. I mean, I would be happy with that. Like the fact that some of the reforms they're passing is in 2020, they're talking about reforms passing, banning chokeholds from the police. It's like, are you fucking kidding me? This is 2020, know, right? And that's still it's like John Oliver's. How is this still a thing?
Yeah. How are we still talking about the same reforms that we were going to pass in 1919? Like none of these concepts are new. None of these concepts are new. None of this is
like black activists have been talking about these for 100 years.
Since the end of
all the things that they're talking about are the same policies they've been wanting to enact since
Reconstruction. Since 1865. These are the same things.
The same
1865. It hasn't changed, but we haven't accomplished it.
If once a domino falls, as long as if the rich and the rich and powerful in capitalism can still keep we need to take the narrative away from them and say that there's a lot more of us, like the black person that can't get a job, same as the white person that can't get a job. We are all struggling, and it's not about being. You shouldn't be happy with, at least as long as I'm not a black person, I'm good with that. That shouldn't be your. That's got to be. We got to kill that narrative.
I guess the question is, how much is the ruling class willing to give up to maintain some of their power this time? Like how much? How? Because they're not going to go all the way.
No,
they're never going to willingly give up power, but they may give up some in order to mollify a large enough portion of white people that they can say, okay, we've done enough. I'm curious to what that point is.
It's not much, but even if we can start, I think as long as you can start to chip away at something, and even if it's just you're getting off little flakes, at least you're chipping away. And eventually, as long as people keep chipping and keep fighting, eventually you do make something beautiful out of that.
I hope you're right. I hope so.
I'm seeing, like, I never would have thought I'd see Mitt Romney marching with Black Lives Matter. I never saw that. I didn't see that coming. And I think more Republicans need to realize that racists aren't their whole voting demographic. They're just the loudest. Like,
yeah.
Not everyone in your district is a racist. They're just the ones that come to your town halls and yell at you. Most of the people are apathetic to politics in general. Like,
right.
Like, I wish, like, it always makes me think of, if we could take this narrative back, is when Tom Hanks was on Saturday Night Live and they did Black Jeopardy, and they had Tom Hanks on there as the MAGA guy.
Yes.
And they started realizing, oh, you don't do your cell phone. That's how they get you. That's how the government get. And everybody's like, yeah. Like,
Yeah.
that's what white people need to realize, that there's a lot more in common. You think about the same ways.
Yep.
But but still, like you said, it's all about having a poor white person. It's human. It's that power thing is, I might not be the rich man and I might not be this, but at least I'm not that.
But at least
you gotta
better than you. That's what it is about.
But in the eyes of the rich and powerful, you're not better than anyone. You're the same.
Exactly. They don't care about you either.
They don't give a shit about you.
No, not a. Yeah.
But the white privilege that people get, they don't. That the key is, they made it to where people don't realize they're getting privilege.
Oh yeah.
Because that's where when white privilege was first brought up, the white backlash was, "What are you talking about? I ain't got a lot of money. I don't get this. I don't got that." And until people were able to, I'm glad that conversation never went away about white privilege, where it started getting explained better and better to those ignorant white people. Where it's like, no, it's not about. Here, privilege is not just about money, you dumb motherfucker. It means you go into a job interview, you're more likely to get hired. You're more likely to get a loan. You're more likely to do more. Like
it means that
dumb fuck.
The cops don't arrest you for passing a $20 check and kneel on your neck for 9 minutes and kill you.
Yeah, it means.
That's what it means.
Worried about getting. It means you can yell at the police officer about your rights.
Exactly.
You can sit there and call them. You can sit there and call them a fucking pig cunt and not get
walk
shot.
Away. And walk away.
With
a have a nice day.
Where a black person will say that he's got a permit and a gun in the car and his hands are up and still get shot.
Yeah. All right. I think that's gonna wrap it up for us this week.
We'll end it on a happy note.
That's a good place to end it.
As we always do on the Ken and Mark show.
As we always do. You can contact us at the Ken and Mark Show at gmail.com, or on Facebook or on Twitter at Ken and Mark Show. We are available for download on iTunes and Google Play and radio.com and I guess YouTube for this one. And at the original podcast page, the Ken and Mark Show.libsyn.com. Yes. All right, Ken. We'll see you next time.
Good to see you, brother.
All right, man.
Later.